same time, he's got to grow his family, and he's got to love his family and lead them. And are you feeling the stress? Are you feeling that? This has been a big job for Brian, and I got to say, I think he's leaving a big hole in this body. It's going to be tough for somebody to fill that. When you think about a pastor, this is the job description of a pastor. He needs to be a motivational speaker. He needs to be a financier and an accountant. He needs to be a negotiator, a counselor, a techie sound man, an educator, a manager. He's got to relate to the old and to the young alike. He's always got to be sympathetic. He's always got to be available. And he's got to be such a diplomat that he could umpire a baseball game between the Knights of Columbus and the Ku Klux Klan. That's the burden that this man carries as pastor here. Because we all expect what we need, don't we? We all expect what we need. So, having been in that position, I know how Brian feels, and I know sometimes it's overwhelming. And we could probably sit here for several hours, and we could talk about what Brian has done for us, and we would run out of time. And by the way, Michelle as well, I don't mean to leave you out, but you both have been a real inspiration and a blessing to this body. I remember when I was, I wanted to say one other thing. I want to talk to you girls. When I left the ministry, my oldest daughter went through a pretty rough time. Because for years she had always been the pastor's daughter, and now she wasn't the pastor's daughter anymore. And what I want to say to you is that who you are doesn't depend on who your daddy is. You got that? Because you guys shine just like you are. And you need to get your significance from Jesus and not from anything else. Not who Dad is, not what position he has, or anything like that. Both you gals, both of you. We've watched you grow up in here, and we've seen you blossom, and you can hold your own. Okay? I just wanted to say that to both of you, because you're both special. When I was in Croatia, we noticed that there were a bunch of little churches in the valley. And I asked about those churches, and what they said was that about 50 years ago there was one church, and they got into a big feud, and 10 families split off and went off and started another church. And then about 10, 15 years later, they got another feud someplace, and a bunch of families split off and went. And so there was about 10 churches all over the valley, and they were all disgruntled people. They wouldn't talk to each other, and angry with each other. And I remember talking to a couple of young men who were in leadership there, and I just said, that's not what God has in mind. God does not want to grow and have more churches on the basis that people aren't talking to each other, and they're angry at each other, and they're splitting up like that. What ought to be done is that the body ought to send their pastor with joy and with all the blessing they can muster to where they're going to go. And if the church is deciding that they want to split up and go, split up and have two churches, I think they ought to get together and bless each other. That's really what God wants. So tonight, I think it would be fitting for us. We obviously can't all do it, but those who would like to come forward, I think it'd be great if we could lay hands on this family and send them to their next assignment. And by the way, God has given KTSY a gift, just like He gave us a gift. Got that? He's given you as a gift to KTSY. And we're excited about that. Yeah. So, Ed, would you like to take over now, and maybe we can have a time of prayer and sending.
Leadership team and family, church family, come and gather